Why are you laughing like this?
Because sometimes you and I will exchange statements like telepathically, and the lovely people at home, they're like, what are these two on? And we're having a conversation, but we're having a whole other conversation. And I just heard what you said and I thought it was funny. Please carry on.
You're not telling everyone
No.
what. You see,
Snitches get stitches, man.
Okay.
What did you used to say when we were young? Loose lips sink ships. I can't be telling people what the private conversations are. You can tell them if you want.
Yeah, so
I signed an NDA, guys. I'm sorry.
you see, so that's what happens. You see, so when people begin to lose hope in things, you see, that's why people don't want to live. You see, because hope keep exhausted people going. You see.
Dad, I'm getting sick of this depression and anxiety thing, you know.
Mhm.
Honestly, Dad, like, you know what it feels like? You ever been bowling and they got the boundary things up? In like, for real bowlers, that's an offence.
Yeah.
Because my skill means I don't need the boundary things, Dad. And this depression and things, it's knocking your bowling ball or thing, and then you can never get a strike.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you hit that thing, it's going to send your thing off center. And I'm, Dad, I believe that God has way too much for us.
Yeah.
For me to be living inside, or for people to be living inside a prison where the key's on the inside.
Yes. It's
they're banging on the door going, let me out. And I'm sitting there, and for a lot of them, I'm going, the key's on the inside.
Yes,
and they're like, huh?
But what is happening is that depression, anxiety, stress is something that nobody prepares for.
True. Very true.
And that is where a lot of people get caught off guard. You see what I mean? Now, if I say to you, I'm going to slap you,
I'd let you get that close, and then I'd have to give it like a box.
You see, it does not feel anywhere as bad as if you were not looking.
And then you just slap.
And I just slap you out of the blue.
Yeah, I'd be a bit shocked.
Yes, a lot shocked, you know what I mean? And it's what is happening to a lot of people.
Wow. Life is just slapping them out.
You're just slapping, because they never
imagine you're sleeping.
Yes, seriously.
And someone just
wake you up, and that's it. You're mad, and that is what a lot of people are experiencing with these mental conditions. You see, they've been sold on a lie. They've been sold on falsehood. They've been sold on many different things, and so nobody's preparing for it because everybody's telling them, you know what, the whole thing is sugar coated. It's candy. Just it's sweet all the way. No, you know what I'm saying, and that is what is causing a lot of people to suddenly find themselves in quicksand.
Yeah. Sinking fast.
Yeah. And the more they struggle, is the faster they're going down. It is commonly said that if you find yourself in, do not struggle.
Just stop.
Yeah.
Did you get that from Indiana Jones?
Why is it that everything that you think is somebody else?
No, because in Indiana Jones, that happens and then he's just like, stop moving.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. If you say so, you must have watched it.
Of course I've watched it.
Yes.
And I think you've watched it.
I am.
But I feel okay with telling everybody that I've watched it.
Yeah, that's the problem. You see now. So, but back to the reality here, and they struggle, and who they're asking for help are oftentimes themselves in the
worst position. No, not the same. Worse.
Yes.
You've got the quicksand up to your knee, and you're asking the person to put it up to their neck.
That's correct.
So then, Dad, you said something earlier about foundations, and as you were talking, the first thing that came to me was most people's foundations have been built on their own blueprints and schematics. Mm-hmm. Dad, what is stopping people from surrendering to what they need to in order to develop and find safety in the space that they were always meant to? Because to me, if I look at something and I realize it's failing, I'm not going to double down so I can sit down and say, well, this was what I thought. And does that make sense? It's
Yeah.
almost like people are happily trading what they know for what they think or what they
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah.
And then turning around and going, oh, well, this is what, and you're sitting there going, but no, because you knew this information or this basis of thinking was flawed, but because you were in control of it, it was a better option than.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, I feel that the best way, sorry, the best way to describe it is like when Jesus gave the Lord's Prayer.
Okay.
99% of people think the Lord's Prayer is just something you repeat without realizing that it's a model. It's given to you to build on.
Brilliant. Break it down.
And he intends for you to take that and expand on it. And in the same thing with...
Can I stop you very quickly? Do you know I love what you're saying? Why what you're saying? Because there are devastations happening. Dad, there is someone right now in a house waiting for one of those rescue boats to come by and help them, whether in Florida or in Spain or there is someone in the Arab region that is in a house, Dad, hoping that the military just surveilling the land doesn't come in. There is someone in that Ukraine area that's sitting there going, my whole village has been shelled and all that's been going on around me in my village is wildness and violence and death. So Dad, for a lot of people that are either praying or are sitting thinking, I might need to pray. Please break this down to me, the model of the Lord's Prayer. So as you were saying, I didn't want to stop you.
Right. So he gave them the fundamentals of what to say. You build on it. I lay, the foundation is there. Now I want you to build on it.
Cool.
Our Father.
Cool. Let me, our Father who art in heaven.
Yes. You see, God wants you in your praying to, number one, acknowledge what a father is. And
what is a father, Dad?
A one who is ready to not only does he create, but he's also ready to sustain and maintain.
Perfect.
You see what I mean? And God is looking for you to acknowledge that he has done it.
Yeah.
Not only is
done.
He's done it. And is for you now to take those resources that he has created and begin to put it together. And that is why the believers stand in such firm foundation, because whenever time something break or go wrong, they've got all the resources they need to repair it almost instantaneously.
But then let me ask a question that someone's screaming at the screen right now is saying, I don't have resources, I don't have money, I don't have food, my house is underwater, I don't know where I'm going to get my next whatever from. So what resources would they have, Dad?
Yeah. The same one that they had when they didn't have any of those things.
Which is?
They had nothing, but they had ideas.
Okay.
And they had plans. And they had, for example, not only just ideas, but they have the strength and the energy to go and ask those who have got it. You see? Now, all of those people that are experiencing the traumas that they're experiencing, they're people ready to help. Is what they're going to do with that help. And it is the same thing, and that's one of the reasons why I gave this, this analogy. That is not money that is not money that brings prosperity or success. It's ideas.
I know what you're saying. Money doesn't beget ideas. Ideas beget money.
Is amazing.
And if I've got to keep following you around to recorrect the things that you say, it's not going to work out very good, is it?
But it's good because it shows that you're listening, and the seed is planted. It's fantastic because at any time, it's growing. Anyhow, so that is what it going to takes, and it's only when you know you got that foundation of faith to sort of say, okay,
I'm so glad you said that.
In spite of the natural failings around me, I've got something that transcends the natural,
Yeah.
which is the spiritual, because everything in its first instance is spiritual.
Can I break that down?
Sure.
So before that house that you had got swept away, basically that house was something in a person's head, and a person imagined that they needed like a building to cover them, and then that building went from it just being a bedroom or a one room to like a downstairs, a kitchen, a toilet, a stairs. But that happened in an invisible place. A person then took their mind and through the conviction of what they thought decided to put some stuff on a plan. That plan then caused them to get some materials. So you're seeing how an adjective, which is a description, that's what happens in the mind, turns into a verb, which is an action. So faith, seed, belief, water, conviction to action, grow.
Mm-hmm. Well done, well done. I couldn't put it better myself.
I think, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Okay. So
our Father who art in heaven,
indeed,
hallowed be your name. So we
right.
have a Father,
Yep.
and you've just explained what our Father is.
And therefore, his name represent him.
Okay.
That's what I mean. And not so much now in our culture, but in most other culture, names
Massive.
give a history about you. It's powerful.
Massive.
And so God is saying that when you understand his name and the significance of what it represents, then you can go about your business in confidence that at any time you are in need, or any time you're not only in need, but anytime you need to create and you need directions, call on him and he's there.
Okay.
And that's why he told Solomon, when Solomon was praying over the temple, he says that the heavens of heavens cannot contain thee. How much more this little temple that I've built. But thou will have respect unto the place where your name is. You see me? Because the name represents the universal God. You see me? And that is what happens when you have confidence and faith in his name. You see me? He's saying that, yes, when you pray with that understanding that you are now, by his virtue of his name, in a creative mode. You can call things that be not as though it already is. You can call things that is not in being, in existence, into existence. Okay. And you find that in the book of Hebrews, chapter 11.
Oh, cool. This isn't Rima and this is not Sunday morning. Now, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. So we've gone from our Father, recognizing who God is, recognizing that he's our Father, everything that encompasses. Hallowed be thy name.
Yeah, that is, which I just explained. The name, the power of the
thy
name.
Kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come. So this is where I think a lot of people missed it.
Okay.
Right? What God is saying is that now I'm able to operate in the earth as I am operating through in heaven, through Jesus Christ, one, through everyone who accept him as Lord and Savior. They now become the kingdom on the earth.
So they then become kingdom ambassadors.
Absolutely.
And so what?
And citizens.
And citizens. Yes. Well, you have to be a citizen in order to be an ambassador.
Yes.
No, I was just asking, right?
Yeah.
No, the reason why I'm saying, because let's say, I'm not going to say that, man. Let's say the king asked me to go and be an ambassador, and he tells the prime minister that I'm going to be an ambassador. He wouldn't make me an ambassador he wouldn't make me the British ambassador to America if I wasn't either naturalized or a citizen here first.
So first and foremost, you're a citizen, then you become an ambassador.
Perfect.
Right. So the kingdom is made up of kingdom citizens.
Right.
And then God does with them as he sees fit.
Right.
And so that kingdom is crucial because it is a governing entity.
I love this.
It is designed for you to rule. So as much as people think that Satan is ruling the world, it's the kingdom that's supposed to rule the world.
But even on a bigger level than that, sometimes I do think that we become a little bit preoccupied with with the devil.
Yep.
And the reason I say that is because just on a scriptural level, if the CEO of the company tells me that I don't have to go to the line manager and block out the line manager and just come to him, and the reason I say that is because the devil is a created being.
Yes.
he's not absolute or autonomous.
That's correct.
Any power he has been given to him.
Of course.
And the person that gave him that or allowed him the facilitation of that,
Right.
I have a direct line to that.
Mm.
And also delegated authority to grab anything that comes in an anti-way
Right.
to what I'm meant to be having, right? And so the thing that I was looking at, Dad, was that, and even just you were saying this, I can understand why most prayers either are amiss or don't get answered. Because A, Dad, if you come into this country and drive on the right-hand side of the road, what's a couple of things that might happen?
Of course, you're going to crash.
And if the police see you?
Of course, they're going to arrest you. Charge you.
How many people, Dad, are running around with Kingdom Ambassador badges and do not know the Constitution, the basic laws, legal rights, because it says, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. If I don't know what your will is, Dad, then how am I going to pray in accordance to transacting? Because there are certain things in the law that if I do this and I do that, and I go in and let's say I'm even in a legal situation, there are things that I can speak about in our book of law, Dad, that will either create a dispensation of more time, or it might even get the thing thrown out. So I can understand that people that are going to pray need to understand what their, and this word that you love, inalienable rights are.
Of course. Yes. I mean, because you see, that is a word that it transcends the natural world. It's a universal given rights, which most people do not necessarily comprehend. People has not risen to that state where they operating outside of the temporal realm that we presently live in. So it goes back to why the things that are happening where people are depressed, because you are now living below, you got the tripartite of man, the spirit, soul, and body. And now when you get into that state of depression is when you literally lost sight of who and what you really are, and are living now by virtue of the senses.
Wow.
You see what I mean? You see, this is what it is. So you are impacted by what you see, hear, smell, taste, feel. You see what I mean?
So ground level.
You're on ground level. And if none of those things lend itself to encouraging you, it's hard for you to pick yourself up. And that is why oftentimes you need somebody to believe in you, to restore you, to take you up, whether it can be for a day, a week, a month, a year, and say, you know what, I'm going to be there for you, because I know once you're strengthened, you're going to be able to do a tremendous thing.
Okay, give us this day our daily bread.
Okay.
No, we can't get like a third through the thing. There are people I think who will be watching this and will be like, okay, cool. No one has ever explained to me that the Lord's Prayer isn't just something that I ritualistically say when I go to a wedding, or if I go to a baby baptism, or if I find myself in a church service. And Dad, if the basis of communication is the fundamental foundation of success, and not only that, because I also am aware that there are people that watch this because this isn't a religious platform. This is a podcast between a son and a father, right? And so there will be people that will be sitting here going, okay, I've never understood this in this way. I've never seen this. I've only ever seen this as something that you say. And I almost feel like the Lord's Prayer has become a little bit like wedding vows. I get in an environment, okay, I have to say this because this is what I'm supposed to mean. And this allows me to sit and go, okay, we're now going to enter into this. But if people really understood, for better or for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, I don't think we have as many divorces as we do.
Of course.
And you have a lot more people not wasting officials like yourself time with counseling and everything else. Because if you just got them going, you know what, I read these vows, I don't think this is for me. Then we can all save tens of thousands of pounds dresses, and everything else.
Mm.
So we've got to, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread.
Okay, so give us this day our daily bread. Now, it is one of the things that I've led a lot of people into what I call blind alleys, or into some dark holes, because rather than recognize that the Creator, the Father, has already the responsibility to providing for us. You see? What you need, and let me take my time to say it, every bird wakes up in the morning, don't have any food, but they look to their Creator to guide them to where He provides food. And they they go about their business looking for it. Yeah. And I've watched it happen where I put some food in my garden. And when I'm putting it, there's no birds around. And minutes later, they would come and start picking up the food, eating it, whether they make some kind of noise and call their family members, their cousins.
Definitely make noise.
Before you know it, they're all there. You see, I'm thinking, how did they know? But you see, this is what God said. He said, He guides them to it. And He alludes to this guidance principle in the book of Job, where He says that the raven cry out to God when their young is hungry. You see, right? And this is what you realize, that we have taken it upon ourselves to think we
are in control.
Absolutely the point. And that is why people lack directive from God for the things that are necessary, while all other creatures, including the trees, you see what I mean, depends on Him. And even as we're entering into winter, and I look at the trees and I'm thinking, these trees have such beautiful foliage, and yet here they are shutting down. They're going to sleep. They will sleep for 6 months.
Yeah.
The bear does the same thing.
Reduces its heartbeat and rate.
And yet here we are, banging away. Not even for say 8 hours, sometimes for 20 hours. I wonder, why is it that we don't live too long, or we cultivate diseases and sicknesses?
Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those that trespass against us.
Again, forgiving people is really a medicine.
Oh, you're doing all right.
Thank you.
I can feel myself starting to like you again.
Okay, there we go.
I haven't liked him since about...
You see what I'm saying to you?
Hey, when did I read that message? I was up at like 4:30.
Were you?
4:30, Dad.
What's wrong with you?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I woke up at 4:30 and I was just like, I knew it was still like too late because I was like, it's dark.
Yeah.
Luckily though, not luckily, because I've been following the repetition that I think is becoming habitual, I was just like, okay, let's pray. So I prayed and I had a little bit of like, I read a couple of chapters out of Ephesians, went back to sleep really comfortably, but it was just that, kind of the ping.
What ping?
Like you when your eyes open.
Okay.
Yeah. And especially when you're not because usually something, if you wake up, like you're stirring or,
When you wake up, as your eyes ever ping? Because mine never ping. Sorry, go ahead.
Was that meant to be a joke? The worst joke I've ever heard, and so ill-timed.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so
forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those that trespass against us.
So forgiveness is a real medicine
for sure.
And a lot of people need it.
Yeah.
See, and it's not only relevant to God, it is relevant to us.
Mm.
And it is within that forgiveness sequence that we sort of break it down into three, which is number one, to, by virtue of your own spirit, to forgive people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people forgive not from their spirit, but purely from the fact that God expected of them, or suggested, or somebody suggested.
Wow.
Says, okay, look, you need to forgive John Brown or Susie or Jane, and therefore they go through the motion. But it's not really from their spirit. See, so number one, when it comes to forgiveness, you got to forgive a person from your spirit. Namely, I, Sean Williams, forgive John Brown for the wrong that they did. I will not hold it against them. You know, so that is important. Then, of course, number two, you ask God, who is a righteous judge, to look at the case. People don't get away with it. You see, people think that it's a kingdom. Just as how you don't get away with breaking the law, you go to court and the judge sits and the prosecutor and the defense all at work. See, within the spirit world, within the spirit world is the same thing. So when you forgive, you then pass it on to the righteous judge to look at whether or not the person intended to do the things they did to you, to hurt you or to upset you. Yeah. And we are finding it around us, where a lot of things are being done under the disguise of friendship, support, even love, and all other stuff. But the inner indicators are saying, I'm doing it because I've got an ulterior motive. I'm doing it because, you know what, if I do it, I position myself in a good place. And there are a whole lot of motive behind it. So sometimes in hurting people, they do the same thing, but hoping they don't get caught. You see? So that's why when you forgive, you liberate yourself, and then you ask God to examine the case, because He knows the end from the beginning. And then you ask God to deal with it. And God is a righteous judge. He will forgive where that intention was not being vindictive and evil. Then you got to go back to you and ask God to forgive you for taking so long to forgive the people, because sometimes we hold grudges and we hold hurt and we hold all sort, when in fact, you could have died in that sick state. You know what I'm saying? And can you imagine you go to God and find that you're hating your brother, hating your sister, hating your cousin, hating everybody around you. You see, now that's not a recipe for going to heaven, is it? You see, so it's important to ask God to say, okay, Lord, I am sorry for acting as if I'm God, or as if I've never done anything wrong to anybody. You see what I mean? So I justified myself by taking such a long time to forgive these individuals. You see what I mean? And so when you do that, that's the package of forgiveness. See, then you not only liberate yourself, liberate the person, and because the Bible tells us that whosoever sin you remit, it is remitted to them, and whosoever sin you retain is retained to them. So you have that. So then you walk away free. You're liberated. It's like you inject yourself with a whole ton of energy and life. You see what I mean? They themselves is liberated because you've forgiven them, and God, who is a righteous judge, He will correct them. You see what I mean? And then you ask God to forgive you so that you don't become too pompous and thinking that, okay, you know what, I'm self-righteous, etc. Because how long did it take you to forgive that person?
Yeah, way too long.
You enjoy the feeling of superiority, and all of that. So once that is done, then that's what it is. To forgive others as God forgave you.
And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Right. So temptation in the first instance is not sin. It is the weakness of yielding to that temptation that brings you
Temptation is not sin.
to,
It's the weakness in yielding
to
to that
yeah.
wicked act that makes it sin.
Yes. So that's what makes it sad.
That's one of the best things you've ever said.
I've said a lot of best things.
No, but when you say complicated things simplistically well, but is that not the concept of parables?
Okay. Okay.
No, that's just a yes or no.
Yes, yeah, of
Oh,
course.
cool.
Of
So then
course,
just say yes and let's keep moving on.
Yes, yes. Okay, so we go back to where you said it was the
Lead
best.
us not into temptation.
Yes, okay. And
but deliver me from him, Jesus.
Yes, yes. So the little so you're calling me evil?
Him, yeah, him.
Oh,
deliver me from him. If I was calling you evil, I would have said deliver me from evil him. I didn't say deliver me from evil him. I just said deliver me from him. You.
Okay. Is that what you said? I mean, I think we can go back and check it.
I haven't no time to rewind.
Yes,
I said, go back and listen to it, and then when you do, you owe me a tenner.
I'll ask my friends. And
you owe me a tenner.
You
owe me a tenner.
Do
you want to put some? Do you want to put £20 on it? Would you like to put £20 that I said deliver me from him?
Okay.
£20?
No.
That's what I thought. Then.
At least.
That's how you know I know because you're like he's not going to put no money on it if you weren't sure.
Okay. So delivering you from evil. Now, you see, there are evil that is in the world constantly operating to undermine our status.
Okay.
See. Now we are of the highest status.
Well, this is good.
Yeah. Yes. Because if you are made in the image of God.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah. And all of that. So therefore, the workings of evil is to prevent us from attaining to our highest standard, to
devalue, diminish.
Absolutely the point, and that is what it intend to do by whatever means necessary. See, this is the whole thing, and the worst part about it is how we can literally afflict our soul, by the things we think, by the things we do, and all of that. And oftentimes, even something as hurt. Let's take hurt as a typical example. Most people think it's somebody that hurts them. But when you really stop to look at hurt is more
about us.
Nigel, is you being so offended because of your expectation.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And that is one of the things that why so many people can't get over hurt. Because they can't accept the fact that they're the one who's afflicting their soul. It's so easy to think it's somebody else that's doing it. And to.
Do you know how many people I think you just jailbreaked out of personal misery? Because their whole life and base is set up on a person admitting to them that they were always right.
Yeah.
And in their mind, well, human nature says it. We see it, Dad, all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are times where we'll say stuff to people and then they'll act like we never had the conversation when it comes back round. Because to put themselves in a position to sit and say, I caused this, or and it's the insanity of the loop.
Yeah.
That the person that has the solution.
Indeed. I'll give you an example of this. There was a time when I lost my house. You know what I mean? And it's one of those phases of my life that was kind of amazing. And lost everything, in fact. If I remember, had a successful business, houses, etc. One day you wake up and you had none. All gone. And it is at that point you understand a lot of things. Now, there are so many people, places, and things that I could place the failure of these things on. Yeah. But my greatest struggle was how did I not see certain things. When I refuse to blame anybody or everybody, then I begin now to internalize the problem. And I'm saying to myself, how did I not see this?
Yeah.
How I become such a fool?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? See, it's that which oftentimes destroy people from the inside, because when you begin to beat yourself, and you might hear me use this terminology that I beat upon myself, but I only use a lovely long peacock feather to do so.
Yeah.
That's what I use, because I leave all the other things to other people who is so ready to beat upon you. So in other words, learn from it. Don't kill yourself. And once I got that into my mind and my spirit, I was able to start creating process again.
Build back better.
Build back better.
Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Go to my dad's socials at Bishop Williams on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube. Also, follow my socials as well at Sean Williams World, with the weird way that my dad decided to spell my name, because that's him. But there's only one version of it in the world.
There you go.
He did well.
I didn't.
I'm joking, but and we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye, guys.
Bless you.